Hi there everybody and welcome to another video. On today's video I have this Nissan Micra. This is a 2004 model, the K12 chassis, the bubble shape, and I'm going to be changing the oil and the oil filter in it. I'm also going to show you where you can top up some screen wash fluid for your windscreen, and we're going to have a look at the coolant level as well. This engine is rather dirty. I think I'm gonna give it a wash later, but it's not looking that clean. Anyway, to start with, I'm just gonna show you where you can top up some screen wash fluid, and that would be here. So obviously you have to get your bonnet open. You pull on the lever that is inside of the car next to the fuel cap, and the bonnet will pop open a little bit, and then you come here to the front and you need to just get your finger in here and move that in order to release the bonnet. And obviously then you can get that little bar that will be up here and put it in there to hold the bonnet open. Then you come here and open that little cap, and that's where you can put some water, or I mean don't just put water, put screen wash fluid. And I recommend using the proper stuff, because if you just use water, when it comes to the winter, water will freeze and you will not get any water coming out to wash the screen. And if you use washing up liquid, then the same thing happens. So top it up there. And the one I buy here is concentrated fluid, so I mix it myself, but you can buy it ready mixed, so you can just pour it in there straight. Okay, overdone it a little bit there. Never mind. I have to, as I said, really need to wash this engine. It's looking rather tragic here. So once we've done that, we can check our coolant level. So the coolant level, you can check it in this tank here, and the best way is to shine a light there. And from this angle here, you will see a max mark just there. So let's try to focus on that. So that's the max mark there. It's a bit dirty, but there is a line there. And as you can see, maybe my fluid is not exactly at the max. It's a little bit below, which is difficult to tell, but what I'm gonna do is top up a little bit of coolant, and you will see how it goes up. So to top up some coolant, open this cap, and let me see if I can shine it there. You might be able to see a little bit better. You can just about see that the coolant is just sitting down. It's between the minimum and the max, basically. You can see down there, there's a minimum mark as well. So I've got the max there, and the minimum is, well, all the way down there, which we can't really see it from this angle. It's a bit difficult. I don't know if I can focus on it. but down there it says min, my fluid is halfway, and then it says max. Right, I'm gonna put some coolant and we'll try to see how this comes up. If I can manage this. Let's see. So I think you can just about see how that fluid was moving in there. So we want to get it to the max mark just here. Right, you can just see how it's getting to that point. Okay, so now you can see a lot better how the fluid it's at the max mark. So that's where we aiming to have it, obviously. So if it's a little bit low, you can top it up, and you should be okay. If there was nothing in there, then we might be a little bit concerned with a leak somewhere. At this moment, I'm not suspecting any leaks. It's just this car hasn't really quite been serviced as much as I would want it to have been, but it's up to every owner, and sometimes the coolant can go down a little bit with time, especially if you haven't been looking after it. So anyway, that's your coolant. Like I said, if there was nothing there, if it's in between the min and the max, that's okay. You can top it up a little bit. If it's way below the min or no coolant there at all, then as I said, you may have a leak somewhere, and that may need to be investigated. It could be the radiator or one of the hoses, water pump, anything. So I'm happy with that now, and we can move on to the oil and the oil filter. So the first thing I'm going to do with this car is pull the dipstick here and open the oil filler cap here, which sometimes can be a bit hard. Might be a good idea to use one of these. Okay, and so I'm just going to leave the cover open and that open. That will allow some air into the system while we drain it from underneath. So I'm gonna get the car up. I've got a ramp here today and I can use it. That really facilitate things. So I'll get the car up and you can have a good look at the bolt and the filter when we undo them. Okay, so this is my replacement filter here. This is an ADN 12110 blueprint. That's the one there. And I'm gonna be using this socket here to remove that filter, the one in the car. The size of this has got two sizes, size 65 and 67. So I guess the 65 is the smaller one, which fits this filter. The 67 is a bit big. So it's basically, if you look for a tool of one of these online, you'll be looking for a socket for a filter for a Nissan Micra, and then you'll get the sizes. This is basically what it says, 65 14, It says 65 to 67 14, and we also need a 14 mil to get this bolt out, the sun plug bolt out. And don't forget to get an oil pan, otherwise oil will go everywhere. So this, and don't forget, if the engine's been running a long time, this oil can be very hot, so don't burn yourself. So that's looking pretty black. Not sure when this one's serviced last. And we're gonna tackle the filter in a minute, which is just sitting up there. So while that is draining, I've just got my socket and ratchet on the filter, and so we can undo that filter. Hopefully it's not gonna be too tight, because normally you just put them there tight. Sometimes, depending on how long they've been there, they get a little bit stuck. But luckily this one is okay, it's coming out. And oil will come out of there, so make sure you have your oil pan sitting underneath. The one they used previously was a MAN filter, W610-4. Right, so now I'm just gonna leave those dripping for a little while, and then we'll get ready to fit our new filter. Okay, so got my new filter here. I just put a little bit of multi-purpose grease around this O-ring here. You can use a little bit of oil as well, just to make sure when we fit this back and we tighten it. I just put that little bit of oil or grease so this O-ring can slide and accommodate itself without getting damaged. The other thing is sun plug bolt here. This copper washer has been used so much, it's actually looking quite flat. So I got a new one there. Technically you are supposed to replace them every service, but sometimes people don't, and they can get a bit damaged. So if it's not looking like this, you can sometimes reuse the copper washer if you haven't got one, but this one, it looks like it's been reused a few times, so that's the issue. Anyway, now we're ready to fit this back. I'm just waiting for it to drip a little bit more, and then we can go ahead and refit this. Okay, I had the oil dripping for some time now because I had another job to do, and I'm just going to clean the surface where the filter sits a little bit, some paper. Just want to wipe anything that might be on it, just leave it shiny, and then we can fit our filter, new filter on it. And now I'm going to tighten it hand tight. That's it. And we can get our sun plug bolt on there as well. So these usually get tightened to about 25 Newton meters, between 25 and 30. So if you have a torque wrench, use it, and just don't over tighten that, because you don't want to damage the thread on the sump or the bolt there. Otherwise you have to replace the sump. So don't give yourself an extra job. And now I'm just going to rinse the area here. I got some brake cleaning fluid here, because that way, if we leave everything nice and clean, next time we come back to do this job, if we have any leaks, then we know it's not from oil that we left there from before. So just make sure you leave it nice and clean. And that's pretty much it from down here. I'm going to lower the car now, and we can put some oil in it. Okay, so now we're ready to top up some oil. You just need to find out what engine you have. So if you have a 1 liter or the 1.2 or the 1.4, then you have the engine codes here. In this case scenario, I have the CR14DE, which takes 3 liters of oil. Okay, sorry, as I was saying, these engine codes here, they take 3 liters, and the K9K takes 4.5 liters. If you didn't change the oil filter for any reason, then you have slightly different figures, 2.8 and 4.4 for the other engine code there. So I'm gonna put 3 liters. I'm gonna use 5W30. You have here the recommendations. 5W30 is preferable, and so you have a little chart here as well, shows you how to choose oil according to temperature, outside temperature. So have a look at your manual if you got one. If not, well, I'm gonna use 5W30 anyway. So, and it's just 3 liters. So I've got my Castrol here, and I've got 3 liters in there, and I'm going to pour that in here. Okay, so I'm just pouring in the 3 liters in there. And we have our dipstick here as well. We can check and have a look. Okay, so I just cleaned my dipstick, but I am aiming to be somewhere in this end here. So that will be the full and the low here. Normally when you check it, if you were in the middle here, that's usually okay. But since we just done the service, I am expecting to be in the higher end. And since I haven't started the engine yet, the oil will probably be somewhere up here in the high ends, because some of this oil will go into the oil filter, and then when you check this again, it looks that it shows a little bit in the lower ends. Well, not the lower ends, but just right on the spot that you need it to be. So if you can just see the shiny bit there, it's a bit higher. So once you run the engine and you check the oil again, that should go down. Okay. Got my 3 liters in there. We can close this now. And we'll start the car. So no engine lights, no dodgy lights, no oil pressure lights. Engine is nice and quiet. And last but not least, you could just have a look underneath, make sure there's no oil dripping, and that's pretty much it really. So as far as changing your oil and your oil filter, topping up your screen brush fluid and checking your coolant, it's not really much to it. So just be careful. Obviously, if things are hot, you could burn yourself, even with oil or coolant or anything like that. So anyway, I hope the video helps. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you on the next video. Thank you for watching.